So let's have a conversation. And if this content gets to you and you feel the need to comment, be cognizant that you're not the only one who is consuming this content. Did you know that over 32% of households in Kenya are led by single mothers? Did you also know that this is the situation in other countries like Nigeria and South Africa? Now, every day we have these debates on social media and even in places of work and homes and so on. And you hear men saying that they can never marry a woman who has children already. That is their right, that is their opinion, they're entitled to their opinion, and it's okay. Most of them say they'd rather marry a woman who has no children so that they can sire their own children. They also ignore the fact that you can marry a woman that does not have children, but it doesn't guarantee you that those children that you're going to have are yours. Because when you look left, right, and center, you'll notice that there are so many men who are raising children that are not their biological children. That is a story for another day. I think in the case of single mothers, it is unfair for us to just throw a blanket judgment on them and think about them in the narrow lens of promiscuity. Most people think and say that women who have had children are women who do not have good judgment, they do not have better choices when it comes to contraception and protecting themselves from having children. Most people think they are actually promiscuous. While that might actually be true, the fact remains that in this part of the world, in Africa, there are many other factors that actually lead to women becoming single mothers. An example is this: women have had to raise children that they have gotten out of rape. Others have had to raise children that they have gotten out of incest. Women have had to raise children because they were in a marriage that failed. And what happens most of the time is they get into marriage when they are very, very young. And probably it is because of coercion from their family. We know that there are people who normally sell off their children when they are still very small or very young to go get married. Women have had to have children and raise them on their own because we live in a polygamous society. No man agrees to it. Most of them would actually not admit, but you'll find that very many men have got a polygamous trait to them. And so they would have one person they have settled with and have another person and have children with them, and those women will be forced to actually raise these children alone. There are very many factors that would lead to a woman becoming a single mother. Never mind the fact that there are men who just simply become narcissistic, they become bad-mannered, and they just decide to walk away and leave these people exposed and alone to fend for themselves and their children. Now, that is just a small part of this. These women also undergo very many challenges, especially in this part of the world. They undergo significant challenges. Let me just highlight for you a few. A woman who has children most likely will not get meaningful employment. They will most likely have to settle for menial jobs, for very low paying jobs, because they have to get something, anything, just to feed their children. You will walk around and you'll see these people with children on their back and others taking these very small children to places of work. These women doing very, very hard jobs, you know. It's no wonder when kids grow up, they always identify themselves with their mothers. Because remember, if they get pregnant and probably they're very young, out of rape or incest or whatever, chances are that they're not going to have their full academic potential. So it is very possible that they are not going to have any good, meaningful employment that will help them to be able to be economically empowered. Now, whose fault is that? These women also will lack the necessary support. Remember, in the days gone by, we used to have a very large extended family. Most people would have very large extended families. You have a grandfather and a grandmother who has a son and a daughter, or sons and daughters and many children. And so if these women would have children when they are still young and not ready to be in a situation where they can be married, or when they are in a place where they have gone out of the marriage because of divorce, because of other things, domestic violence included, children will go back to this person's home. They would be cared for at this person's ancestral home. But because of urbanization, because of the changing economic times, because of issues with land not being enough, because of people making different choices when it comes to family, we have got more smaller families such that people do not want to entertain other people and their baggage in terms of children. And so this person will lack that support, and so they'll have to make decisions based on the environment and the situation that they are in at that particular time. Tell me this is not true. Also, these women will have a lot of social stigma and discrimination. And I started by introducing this topic and saying that most of us think about single mothers as women who are promiscuous and have got bad choices when it comes to their sexuality, forgetting that there are other confounding factors that make them to be in that situation where they are. It is that stigma and discrimination that actually makes this problem more rampant. It is that stigma and discrimination that makes these people not be able to seek solutions and actually find solutions in their situation. Because we judge them, we think of them as a certain type of people, we profile them, whose fault is that? These women also will have difficulties in accessing services. In this current dispensation, in this current day and era, when you have somebody who does not have a stable family, a stable home, does not belong anywhere, just has children, probably 2, 3, and maybe they are of different men. These people, because we have judged them and discriminated them, even when they go to seek service, sometimes it becomes very hard for them to get those services. Just because we have created a social barrier that does not allow them to go across or to be able to benefit from the other side. So, in as much as we would want to throw a blanket judgment and start throwing words all over, single mother this, single mother that, telling them to be strong and to do what, there are so many confounding factors that make these people to be who they are and to be in the situation where they are. And so because we do not understand their stories and because we have not walked their journeys, it is very unfair to lump them all together into one and decide on their behalf. Let me know what you think in the comment section.